Secretary of State for Internationalization, Dr. Jorge Oliveira, Honorable Members of Parliament, distinguished members of the Portuguese government, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Muito bem-vindos. A very warm welcome on a rainy winter evening, and a very big thank you to each one of you for joining us in celebrating the 68th Republic Day of India. National days are special, but this National Day is particularly special to us because it comes barely 2 weeks after the very successful state visit of the Honorable Prime Minister of Portugal, His Excellency António Costa. 67 years ago, on this day, India adopted a visionary constitution and became the largest democracy in the world. Today, we are not only the world's largest democracy, we are also the world's fastest growing major economy. We are a country of 1.3 billion people. We will have 1 billion voters in our next elections. We have 1,900 registered political parties. We have 8,900 newspapers, 1,600 languages. There are more statistics, but I won't go on. What I want to say is that India has shown to the world that it is possible to achieve economic growth and uplift millions of people out of poverty without sacrificing democracy or diversity, without compromising on the values of pluralism and tolerance. And I feel very proud standing here and saying this in this beautiful country, Portugal, which shares these foundational values with my country, India. What better testimony can there be of Portugal's commitment to democracy and pluralism than the fact that it is the first country in the Western world, not just in Europe, in the Western world, the developed world, to have a person of Indian origin as its Prime Minister. I'm sure the people of Portugal take as much pride in this rich tradition of inclusion and assimilation as we do in the Indian origins of their Prime Minister. And we should, and we must. When you look around us today, you see rising tides of intolerance and exclusion. And you realize how important it is not only to cherish these shared values, but also to nurture them. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, the visit of Prime Minister Costa was a celebration of these shared values. It was a celebration of these shared values and much more. The visit reminded us that India-Portugal relations go beyond numbers. Numbers such as the number of visits exchanged, the number of agreements signed, the number of dollars in which we trade. Because India-Portugal relations are deeply anchored in more profound and more sublime things. Those things that make life beautiful, meaningful, and can never be quantified and measured. Our ties of blood and kinship. Our ties of language, literature, music. Our ties of food, festivals, art and culture. Prime Minister Costa's visit was also a celebration of all these invisible yet enduring bonds that bind our two countries so irrevocably together, our two people so tightly together. So, ladies and gentlemen, when Prime Minister Costa visited India, wherever he went, he was not only warmly welcomed, he was welcomed back as one of our own. The Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, invited him as the chief guest of our flagship diaspora event. The Honorable President of India honored him with the highest award given to a person of Indian origin overseas. the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award to show the admiration and affection and pride that the Indians feel for Prime Minister Costa and his achievements. To sum up, Excellencies, distinguished guests, I would like to say that the visit of Prime Minister Costa was much more than a bilateral state visit. It was a homecoming that took India-Portugal relations to the next level. It took our relations to the next level by transforming our shared yesterdays into promising tomorrows for the people of our two countries. It built on the rich foundations of one of the oldest relationships in the world, the relationship between India and Portugal dating back 500 years. It built on this a modern, forward-looking 21st century partnership that promises to improve the lives of our people for the coming 500 years. And how did our leaders resolve to do this? We have decided to enhance our strategic linkages, our trade, business and investment ties, especially in priority sectors. We've decided to enhance our collaboration in the areas of the future: science, technology, innovation, startups, while forging even deeper bonds between our people through films, tourism, youth exchanges, sports, art, culture. During the visit, the first ever Memorandum of Understanding in defense cooperation was signed between India and Portugal. And the two countries also agreed to enhance security cooperation. And we signed agreements in specific identified sectors where our countries share complementarities. We signed agreements in renewable energy, in marine resources and ocean research, in agriculture and food processing, in information technology and electronics, and very interestingly, we signed an agreement to harness the power of information technology to improve governance. And we launched an exciting new partnership in startups. Portugal is emerging as the hub of innovation and enterprise, and India is home to the third largest number of startups in the world. And we are confident that this startup partnership between Startup Portugal and Startup India will tap into the entrepreneurial energy of our young people to create wealth and value for both our countries and for the world. We also agreed to work together with third country partners to strengthen economic cooperation, and we are exploring the possibility of India becoming an associate observer of the CPLP, the Community of Portuguese-speaking countries, to foster closer linkages between India and the Lusophone world. We also decided to enhance trade, investment and business in some identified sectors: infrastructure, renewable energy, agriculture, information technology, water and waste management, automotives, pharmaceuticals, tourism, hospitality and films. In fact, after Prime Minister Costa met our leading business people and CEOs, 3 Indian companies, including one large company in the pharmaceutical sector, have decided to come and invest in Portugal. And that is just the beginning in my view. We also agreed to collaborate more closely in cutting-edge science and technology, higher education and research, covering all frontiers: the earth, the oceans, the skies, and outer space. Space cooperation is a huge priority for our countries today. In India, there was great appreciation for Portugal's consistent support for our aspiration for permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council. Thank you. And for India's membership of multilateral export control regimes. As you all know, these are very important goals for us, and we greatly appreciate Portugal's support. We also agreed to institute a new India chair in the University of Lisbon for Indian Studies. We established institutional partnerships between our tourism and hospitality centers. We are working to promote yoga together. We are also working on encouraging Indian movie makers to come and shoot Bollywood and all other movies here. We make 800 movies every year in 16 languages. So, and one of the most enduring images of the visit, to me personally, was the sight of Prime Minister Costa presenting the Portuguese soccer jersey, autographed by the soccer legend Ronaldo, to our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and Mr. Modi looking to see if it fits him. I think that image says it all. Excellencies, as you can imagine, we have an exciting and ambitious roadmap for a forward-looking partnership between our two countries. Me, my colleagues in the embassy, the government of India, we're all excited about implementing it in close collaboration with our friends and colleagues in the Portuguese government, Portuguese industry, and the wonderfully warm people of Portugal. But before I conclude, I want to place on record my appreciation for Prime Minister Costa, the outstanding people in his office who worked very hard to make this visit a success. I owe a debt of gratitude to the Foreign Ministry of Portugal, the exemplary officials who worked there, who did a stellar job of coordinating the visit and making sure everything went smoothly. I would like to thank all the ministries in the Portuguese government with whom we worked on the outcomes of the visit. And I would like to thank the Honorable President of the Republic and his office for supporting the advancement of India-Portugal relations through Prime Minister Costa's visit. Thank you very much to all of you. And on a personal note, I would like to say a very sincere thank you to Prime Minister Costa from the bottom of my heart for his endless patience, for his graciousness, for his warmth during the entire visit, to me, to India, and to all Indians. Especially those Indians who mobbed him like a rock star wherever he went for handshakes and pictures and selfies. He posed for all of them. El encanto a India, charmed India. May I now invite all of you to join me in raising a toast to the continued progress and prosperity of the people of India and the people of Portugal, and to everlasting friendship between our two countries. Okay. So, cheers. Cheers. Muito obrigada. Jai Hind. Thank you.